value addition. And that is an area we should also do. The other area is poultry. That's where we have comparative. The climate for poultry production in Enugu, in Wawa land, is very, very good. And therefore, don't go and invest in area you cannot do. But poultry is having a problem because most of the feed come from the north. And we need to invest. I don't know if, I don't know, Chief, you know the bunker at the Enugu there? At, what they call that place? All those places they used to load coal at bunker. They call bunker. Okay, yeah. Yes. We had done we did an appraisal of that place, and we had designed everything so that they can convert those bunkers into silos.
Yes, engineer is talking about where we have a comparative advantage.
Yeah, the areas.
It's necessary, but I think we should be more concerned about how we improve on the way we are. That is the essence of this summit. We should not continue having our limitations. Let's look at the future, the bright future, what we can do later. We'll come back to you, but let's take.
Okay, thank you.
Chooks, I must concede that he was not given enough time to prepare for this session. He was conscripted this morning. But then he's sitting on top of the biggest housing corporations east of the Niger. So he should be able to say much about that. He's at home with real estate business.
Yeah. Thank you so much, moderator. First of all, I have to commend the leadership because it gives us opportunity to get to know each other. I'll give you an example. I used to hear, and this is the first time, he used to hear about me as well. And we met today for the first time. I know Annie Ogalo as well, we met today. I've seen her before, but at least she cannot recognize me as well. So this forum is very important. And I want us to sustain it as we project to have this as an annual event. I know that the next year's event will be bigger than what we have today. I will start my speech from housing corporation point of view because I have issues with our people. There are so many things we are doing that they are not aware of. So today is giving me opportunity to talk to our people in a closer range. It is a known fact that the housing corporation, Enugu State Housing Corporation, is the first among all other corporations in the country under an Agbaja man. And secondly, we have so many estates everywhere scattered all across Enugu, both in the center and outskirts as well. In all, there are 17 in number, and it is verifiable. It is something you can check and confirm under 7 years. But I'm going to pay much more attention to what will benefit our people, which is one of the reasons why we are here. In Enugu State Housing Development Corporation, we are paying much attention, critical attention to civil servants, because we have noticed that civil servants will never have a roof over their head if we don't have any form of plan to help them out. So in partnership with AG Mortgage Bank, Federal Mortgage Bank, Family Home Funds, and Copen as well. We are building 384 units, I think 384 units of combination of 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, and 3 bedroom in an estate we call Coal City View. And fortunately, this Coal City View falls within the Agbaja zone. So we are doing this knowing fully well that to buy houses because of their low income. So what we have done is to have a mortgage repayment plan, which will give them time to pay for these houses over 30 years, over 20 years, depending on their profiling. So I'm using this opportunity to call on all Agbaja people to queue into this. Coal City View is not far from us. It's by Ugoyama here, but it's within Ozala. We partnered with Ozala and which other community in Abo to do this. We have also gotten approval to do 250 units as well in that same location. And we are looking up to all the civil servants to come for their profiling so that they can benefit from this. We are going to hit Ubuneke as well.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm very grateful and pleased to be with you. Thank you so much.
I'm sure the audience has been listening and waiting to hear the number of, but I know you will still talk about that later. But we will invite people to ask questions, and that will be for 20 minutes because we've eaten into the other. We should look at something that was said earlier. Dr. Samuel, when he was speaking, and then our own Ike of Afri-Tex or something, Ike. The major thrust of the argument is that we need our people, for ourselves, and for everybody. And that brings to for one of the issues that have been, people have been contending. I know for sure that there's Empower, and they still have problems with the host communities. I'm sure that this forum will find time to look at those things to impress on our members to allow some of these businesses in so that we can make more gains out of it. Apart from employment and other businesses growing out of this thing, we can make money. Our people will invest and make good their decision. So we'll ask about 3 or 4 questions. 3 or 4 questions. And after that, we'll close. Yes?
Good afternoon, very distinguished. Agbaja, and I am from Amokwe precisely. My first question is to Honorable Ene, and partly to moderator. You had addressed, what I was meaning to ask, but let me just buttress it. A summit like this is supposed to open up opportunities. We know the opportunities therein in palm value chain, from our own Aneka Chime down, to even the brooms and all that. So how come, as Commissioner for Agriculture, you stand here and tell us that you don't have a template to be able to make sure that our palm production It's a worthy investment. How dare you discourage us, not to go into palm production because you think it's not valuable? Secondly, my second question is to the MD of Enugu State Housing Development Corporation. Sir, of your portfolios, especially in Agbaja land, and can this in terms of size, budget size, and before you were cut off, you were talking about Tumuneke.
Okay.
Can you
okay.
assure us that we have an estate coming up? Thank you very much.
Okay, let's give the engineer Ene and I'll go 1 minute, please. One minute. Engineer Ene.
He needs the microphone.
Go on, 1 minute.
Yeah, thank you very much. What I said is Enugu State is not a major oil palm producing state. The yields are very low. We get less than 5 metric tons of FFB, fresh food budget, per hectare, whereas some states are making 18 to 20. The oil palm is so vast. Processing, fractionating, all those things is quite a reason. So that, but there are other areas where you can put money and make far more money than you go there. For palm wine, yes, but not for big estate investment. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that question. What we are doing in Coast City View is an upward investment of over 5 billion naira. Because we are doing 380 units of combination of houses, and we are also going to do 250 units of 2-bedroom, which we have gotten approval from Family Home Funds. They are sponsoring it. So it's an upward movement of 5 billion naira. Then what we are doing in Conquest and Heritage as well, we did site and services, which I didn't want to mention before, but because of your question. In Conquest, we are doing an infrastructure worth over 5 billion as well. So, and Heritage is like 500 million or something like that. So if you put it together, what we are doing in Umuneke as we speak, and the work is unanimously, they are going on together. It's something you can go and check. It's above 12 billion naira. That's an estimate. Yes.
Yes, question from the other side.
My question is on agric. Agric, the biggest place. And we've been talking about housing. That is the most important in the agric side. And we will be able to say, how is the government going to come in the agric side? Government is providing land for the housing. The land tenure system we have in agric can never sustain a big farming. When we talk about farming, it's not the small agric I do in my house. We talk about big agriculture. You were talking about processing. When you talk about processing, you have to have enough of the production to process and do exports. So what we want is, how is the agric? Because if we invest in agriculture, it will take more people. A lot of people will be employed. And the GDP of this Enugu State will grow up. And so if we talk only on housing,
Okay.
We'll lay
okay.
emphasis on these ones and then be able to know how we can get land to
Let's
process.
hear the keynote speaker.
I'd like to.
The keynote speaker, can you come?
Thank you so much. Let me answer and say clearly, the major problem we have now is how do we get the youthful population to get involved in agriculture? And if you understand that from your environment, their colleagues are having in the urban centers in terms of housing. So we are looking at an integrated method of addressing housing through a concert of number of issues. If you ask them to go back to the one we have in other rights, they will not go there. But the current trend is to have an integrated mechanism whereby those youthful population will be given a similar level of comfort under what we call live, work, and play. They are working in the farms, but they are living there and they are playing there. And they have similar standard of schools for their children, because their children are going to run together with the children of those who are in the urban areas. So it's not only about agriculture, it's about ensuring that the push factors that push them away from rural areas and away from agriculture is handled. And one of the key areas we have discovered over the years is the element of engaging the youth to draw them back. Under system and empower, we've been able to train thousands of youths empowered by the federal government to be able to get back to blue-collar work and move away from the drifts of white-collar work, working in ministry, any of them in silo, but we're addressing them in interface and in collaboration with one another to find out what can create a nucleus of work, play, and live. Therefore, and that is the essence of what we are trying to do. And let me also go further to say that it will require us to be able to have the aggregation of funds, which Chief Loretta spoke to. It's not going to be done by a small-scale individual, me alone. We have to pool resources together, venture capital and other things, to create that kind of environment that will be 21st century agriculture and not 18th century agriculture. Thank you so much.
Okay, one final question from the audience. Yes? Yes, sir.
Now, what happened? Eugene is my name. I appreciate this summit so much. I had to forgo some certain things that I was to do to be in attendance here. Agbaja, as a people, are a great people. I am of the opinion that as the world is advancing, we also should advance with the world. ICT technology is also good for Agbaja people. Am I right? We should be going with the world. I would say is fully underdeveloped. Much of the concentration is here in Enugu. It should be decentralized. Coming to our people, okay, look at AVOP for God's sake. We allowed AVOP to crumble. The only industry we have in the heart of Agbaja land. We should be thinking about that one also. And we have poor roads. We have poor roads, for God's sake. Which is a disaster. Let me stop here.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your contributions. Well, may I invite Loretta and Agol to address us more on the issue of the free trade zone and the need for our people to embrace it and make better use of it.
Well, thank you very much. Just before I get into that, for the issue of agriculture, referring to what Rico was saying, food security is critical for any country, but you have to understand that the way we're doing agriculture today is not going to get us anywhere. Countries where agriculture constitutes about 70, 80% of their GDP, only about 2% or 4% of their population is involved in agriculture. So we need to get into modern agriculture. When I recommended setting up funds, the essence of setting up funds is an umbrella that is all embracing. It'll cover people who want to go into business or real estate, people who want to go into manufacturing, people who want to set up in the free trade zone, which is a critical zone that is tax-free, that when you produce there, the advantages are enormous. But people need to be financed to get into these different businesses. And the only way you can get this kind of support is to build a general fund. And that fund is going to service so many different sectors, including IT. A lot of young people are doing well in IT in Enugu, employed by companies outside Enugu State and being paid. And yet they reside in Enugu State. So basically what we're talking about is taking this to a modern scenario. One thing Agbaja is known for is that we're a reservoir of brilliant manpower. It is what we have been, it is what we have been known for, and we want to continue in that trajectory. The opportunities are enormous, but we have to build the framework under which these opportunities can be tapped.
Thank you. Let me, on your behalf, thank the keynote speaker and Reverend Ugochime and the panelists, Loretta Neagolo, Ngozi Anyogo, Mike Ene, and Chiemeli Ago for their wonderful position on what we are discussing. And we should take major takeaways that in business, like the keynote speaker said, there should be trust, which should be based on performance and character, skill performance, not just trust. There must be something to offer. And then Loretta said we should find a way to seek funding, virtual capital funding and other types of funding, so that people who just start up capital for most of our people, so that people can have something to work with. And then we didn't get to discuss about the issue of land holding and how it affects real estate and even other things. But we have taken it, we need to allow the free trade zones operate maximally in our society.
Very important.
Thank you very much. And that is the end of this first session. Thank you. For that, we kept to the time exactly.
Please, can we put our hands together for this panel? Really done so well. This real estate, finance, and agricultural sector. This panel was moderated by Professor Gabe Ago. He is the Director of Professional and Legal Education, ESUT. We have Reverend Ugochime, who was the lead presenter, presented the lead document. We are going to go to the second panel, and this panel will be moderated by our own very dear Professor Joy Ezilo, CON. She is a professor of law, telling daughter of Agbaja land. Please can you put your hands together for Professor Joy Ezilo, CON. To join her in the panel are Honorable Ferdinand Ago, we have also on the panel Engineer Gerald Otiji. We have Professor Ike Chudubem, who will also be part of the panel. Professor Ike Oloka will be the lead presenter. He will present the document for this panel. Agbaja has a vast endowment of human resources. If you look at the caliber and the quality of people who are Agbaja people, you will ask yourself, so what's happening? Both here and in diaspora, you have Agbaja engines doing so well in different fields of human endeavor. So ladies and gentlemen, we'll be starting the second panel discussion, which will be moderated by our own very dear Professor Joy Ezilo, CON, a professor of law.
At all.
His name.
Wakol is here. You're welcome, ma.
So let us welcome to the podium the panelists. We
Welcome,
have
sir.
Honorable Ferdinand Ago. He's just coming up. Welcome, sir.
Highly welcome.
Okay, Mr. Ferdinand Ago. He used to sit at the top of the maritime. We have Engineer Gerard Otiji. We also have Professor Ike Oloka is also here. Mr. Ike Namane may be joining us virtually from Canada. This forum is affording a lot of people opportunity to meet again. After a very long time, a lot of them have gone to the diaspora. A lot have relocated to other parts of the world, other parts of the country. But this forum is giving them a robust opportunity to meet and relate again.
And to equally explore investment opportunities. Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, let us put our hands together as we hand over the baton to Professor Joy Ezilo, who starts the moderation. And then the paper. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Please, can we settle down, please?
Exactly. Thank you so much. Can we settle down? Can we settle down? Thank you so much. Those
honorable,
distinguished ladies and gentlemen, is it lunch that we are very hungry? I believe that after this session, we might have that health break for lunch. I will stand on existing protocol, which I wasn't here when it was established, for which I know if if I start to recognize, I might make grievous mistakes because I wasn't here from the beginning. But all the same, I'm very happy to be in the midst of Ndi Agbaja and to say that this conference or this investment conference is one whose time has come. And we must congratulate ourselves for this feat. This is a feat. It is beginning of many big things to come. And I'm happy that we've arrived. This session that I'm moderating will focus on education, healthcare, security, and ICT. I listened to someone who was asking questions. ICT is the way forward. So this is the session, and I hope that you'll be listening attentively. We all know that these pillars or the thematic focus that we'll be covering are all key to survival of any society. There cannot be any sustainable development without education. Education is the key to empowerment. It is the foundation. It's actually the beginning and end because it's what enables one to access a decent job and a decent livelihood and to be able to read and write and understand his or her environment. In terms of healthcare, is the life wire because you say a healthy society is a wealthy society. However rich you are and you have bad health, it will be a major constraint in any progress. And of course, we think of this in a bigger sense. The issue of health, the eye security. In Nigeria, we live today, security is a major issue. It's the elephant in the room, actually. And here, with regard to investment, we know there is huge potential and opportunity to create wealth, even as we fight insecurity. And I think it's in this sense that we'll approach it as well as our physical security. The issue of ICT is the world we live in today, which is globalization and markers of globalization, travels, consumerism. All those have been made easy and facilitated by ICT. So we have distinguished speakers, and our panel has been cut down to 40 minutes instead of 1 hour. And I believe this time will start to count. And I haven't spent much thought on the thematic focus, and I don't want to preempt the erudite panelists that we have today. We are going to have lead presentation from Professor Ike Oluka, engineering, Ozo Hamadike, and a BOT member who will set the stage. I haven't had the opportunity of looking at his presentation, but I believe it will cover the field in terms of give us thoughts or a piece for us to discuss. So, Prof, I don't know whether they have uploaded your presentation. They are about to, but can you start because you have, you're supposed to have 15 minutes, but it's been called down a bit, but after 10 minutes, I'm going to use stopwatch, but I'll just tell you to round up, but at least you get at least 12 minutes. Okay. Maybe not up to 15 if we are going to finish, because then we have 3 other presenters that will take 5 minutes each. Okay, you're the lead presenter. Please, ICT, we are talking about ICT.
Yes, sir, practically.
We are talking about ICT, so this is ICT. It's up, yeah, good. And boldly, except that we are missing it. And we can't turn back to, we listen.
Yeah,
Distinguished Chairman,
Prof.
am I stand on existing protocol?
we're going to do a presentation on the status, the challenges, and opportunities in the education industry in Nigeria, with emphasis in our location, which is Agbaja. Can you push? Now, can you push further? We're just trying to say here that certain things education. Number one is that it gives you character, it gives you knowledge, it gives you what we call the critical and logical thinking skills. The aim of showing this is that much later we will know whether what we see in Nigeria and elsewhere is really typical thing education can give. Can you go up? Now, if you look at this, for you to have knowledge and learning, there are three factors to be considered. A, B, and R. We're trying to say that the raw material which are students, the resources which are staff, and working environment like structures will give you whatever you have as a final product. And in engineering, we said that R is a function of A and B. R at any time T is a function of A and B. If the raw materials are not there, of course, you are not going to do anything. The next one. In Nigeria's education system, we have certain deficits. We have infrastructural deficits, we have faculty deficit, we have curriculum, we have funding, we have also policy. And you are going to see how this deficit have what it has given to the country. The next one. The result of all these deficits is what we get in Nigerian university, where you have delay in graduation of students, incomplete coverage of course content, poor global ranking, harvest of unemployable graduates, exodus of Nigerian youth to universities overseas, and loss of education tourism and foreign exchange. We discover, and one of those things we're talking about, if you look at this, this is a stadium. You may remember the Abamaro case when they want a Ministry of Interior, they wanted to employ people, and the stadium of unemployed people all coming for that. Can you go up? And so we feel that Nigerian schools are at crossroads. The world has changed, and the internationalization of the global activities have led to competition of resources. And resources. This asks the question, which way Nigerian educational system? The next one. And then we're saying that education, if it is what it gives, this is the map of Agbaja, the one here. This is map of Nigeria. And within those, our emphasis is, how does education address the critical challenges of the 21st century to produce transformational leaders that will be equipped with critical thinking skills to whether your learning, your knowledge can put you through into what you have. The next one. And so we have so many challenges. One of them is the budgetary allocation to education, which is below 15 to 20% of UNESCO standard. And then we'll talk about growing insecurity across the country, which have led to kidnap of students, closing of schools, and destruction of school infrastructure. The next one. If you look at this, you will see the budget for this particular regime, 2016 to 2022. Education budget from 7.9 to 5.4. And that is why if things are bad and it is getting bad and bad, nothing will happen. Next one. We are saying that
full of 28.07% for primary schools, 27.38% for junior secondary, and 40.8% for senior secondary. Today, Nigeria is the world's largest out of school with 19.7 million people, and all the result of all this is we have minimal presence of foreign students, inadequate infrastructure, and then so on and so on and so on. Except important thing is the politicization of appointments in universities. Next one. We are trying to put the total number of students in our primary schools to 22.4 million. And then the total in the junior secondary, all of them are specified. Reducing is very well seen there. The next one, next slide. We are saying that Nigerian universities are increasing, but the private sector is taking a very fast one. From zero in 1978, private universities are now controlling 46% of the universities in the country. And the federal, before now, grew from 16 in 1980 to 173 in 2021. And the number is still counting. The next one. The next one. Now, the issue is, if we know the world are changing, are we prepared for the global change? We said, due to a shift from certificate-based education to competence society, a shift from public sector-dominated economy to private sector-driven economy, a shift from industrial-based economy, and a shift from analog to digital world. If this is happening, the next slide. The question is mismatch to these local and global societal changes. Many, like myself, believe it's not the reality of today's Nigeria. And these have given rise to the situation where education, which is supposed to be a major instrument of positive change, has failed to keep pace with the cultural and socioeconomic dynamics of the country. The next one. And today we are witnessing massive unemployment and unemployability of young graduates. Corruption is on the increase. Corrupt readers are celebrated. Criminality is on the rise. And today, $20 billion in education tourism are lost by this country because everybody wants to get overseas. The next one. And so there is need for a paradigm shift and new ways. And that's need us to remind what happens by the Albert Einstein, who says that the problem that exists in the world today cannot be solved by the level of thinking that created them. And it is important to avoid doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. There is always another way to do a thing. The next one. In Agbaja land, need to go into the map, but on a better day, we can see the Agbaja in a greater Igbo and then in Enugu state. The next one. Now, there are certain situation-induced investment opportunities that makes it better for anybody to invest in Agbaja land. There is delay in graduation of students, which makes everybody to move. There's demand for quality, and everybody in Agbaja wants something the best. Go ahead. Nigerian population is getting to 218 million, and at a rate of 2.5, with 70% of the population being below the age of 30, there is constant flow of students once you invest. Students is not a reason why you cannot invest. Another situation is most families believe that the best way to get out of poverty is by educating the children. And so everybody moves to that. So it becomes a thing of joy for all of us. The next one, higher education for better job. Most people believe that once you have higher education, you have the chance of getting better job. And these are the situations that makes anybody who can afford it to really invest in education. The next one, we're now going to talk about areas of possible investment in the education sector. Number one is that there is advantage in putting a standard primary and secondary schools. Most of the schools in existence today is either that they are too poor quality or they are too costly for some people. And so an investor that can capitalize on this will be the one that can play in between low quality versus very expensive schools. This can give you a good reason to invest in education. The next one, now, Enugu State has a population of 4.6 million people, 235 primary schools, 43.3% of the population is of the age to be in school, and it will take a minimum of 909 students per school. But the point is, how many of the schools are of that number and how many can be sustained? Can you talk about secondary schools? The total number in Enugu State is 305, and the population age is 23.1%. It means that every school in that 305 must accommodate 3,555 students. But the normal student size is 200, between 200 to 100, based on 30 seat capacity and a class stream of 4. What it means is that there is a surplus of about 2,353 prospective students who are supposed to have no school to attend. Because when you admit them, it will be an overcrowded school. The idea is there is enough opportunity, enough human beings in the area of secondary schools in Enugu, Agbaja. The next one. Now, if you're talking about our local government, 2D, local government, the population is 342,000. The number of secondary schools is 24, and the age is 23.1%. The minimum school size will be 3,292 when you look at the population. And again, when you look at the standard size in secondary school, you have a surplus of 2,092 prospective students. That means investing in secondary education in these areas have no problem in terms of these figures. The next one. Now, for those in primary school, the analysis have shown that there is inadequate infrastructure and also pointed the need for adequate physical infrastructure, especially in secondary school cadre. A chain of primary and secondary schools across the zone is proposed. Another one is to establish extra lesson private tutorial center. This is also an investment for smaller people because everybody needs additional hand. In the university education, we are asking and lobbying people to establish a private university. If you look at the JAM for this year, for JAM, only 30% gained admission because of insufficient number of universities. Therefore, there is an opportunity for you to invest in the university system and have enough students. That for you to invest is that the private universities account for about 46%. And in the next 5 years, don't be surprised that it will overtake 50%. The next one, the principle some of us have not been exploiting, which I was discussing with the next person sitting to me, is there is a principle of build, operate, and transfer. Why is it that those in real estate are yet to invest in the real estate business in the university system? Because they need staff. A university of about 25,000 population, staff and students. There is also a university today in Nigeria that is about 75,000 in population, like University of Maiduguri. And what we are saying is that why can't the housing program of the academic staff and non-academic staff be taken over? It's a business center. And then over the years, they can take over that. I remember us wanted to do that. There is also a lot of money if you can invest in ICT services in the university system. Hosting their web and doing other things in the portal is a big business investment in the university system. Can you go up? Another important, just 1 minute, the vocational training is another area that we can invest. The reason is there is little number of mechanics, plumbers, electricians, and nobody is taking care to get new ones. And if one goes into building a skill acquisition center, we'll be able to have enough of such people who can maintain our factories and drive our industries. Can you go ahead? On this note, I want to thank you for the time and listening for your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor Ike Oluka. You have really educated us and given all the important information. And importantly, you ended up on prospective areas of investment. And I think we will have enough time at the end of the presentation to interrogate some of the things that you have put out there, and then also maybe add other opportunities that we've seen. Thank you for those, for the presentation. I want to just please plead, we have someone online who has been for hours, despite the time difference, waiting, woke up early, and has been there. And because he's part of us, we expect him to understand why we don't keep time. You know, the African or the Agbaja land time factor, which is a problem we all have to deal with. MD Medallion Group is the largest data center in Africa and is the managing director, and he's based in Canada, and he's going to be speaking to us from Canada. I don't know whether the ICT, have you been able to anchor him? Is he online? Can we go ahead and take him before we continue with those physically present? Please advise. He's on, excellent. Please, I'm sure you listened to the lead presenter, Professor Ike Oluka, and I know you will come in from a thematic focus of ICT, and we really need that. We know you've been waiting, but we give you the time is yours now, and thank you for bearing with us despite being delayed. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I hope you guys can hear me. If you can, it is a pleasure being with everybody today. I've followed the events this morning. And, all protocol duly observed. My joy is this is happening today.
Please just hold on. Audio, ICT. Please just hold on. Please, can you people help us immediately anchor this? If there are difficulties, we might continue, and you'll get that right and let us know, because we need to hear him. I think we may have to take on another presenter who is here. I'm so sorry about that. Iken Namani, so sorry. We will have you, we will deal with the technical hitch and get back to you. It should be seamless these days. Before I came over here, I had a presentation for almost a training session for judges and prosecutors. And I joined online and I presented uninterrupted. And they had me, I'm sure you'll fix this quickly. So let me go ahead and take Professor Ike Chukwu Chidobem, the ex-VC Vice Chancellor of Enugu State University of Science and Technology. We'll have 5 minutes, Prof. I believe you can also speak from your seat, yes.
Thank you, moderator. I want to associate myself with some of the points raised. I'm going to talk mainly on the aspect of education. But let me say straight away that there is no alternative to education, because education is the foundation of knowledge industry, and knowledge.
Can you hear me?
To cope with the emerging trends in development. With the advent of ICT, we all agree
you guys
that
hear
the world, the global village. But in dealing with the problems of the various problems identified,
Ike Namani, just let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. This is testing.
One of the things we must realize is that it's not possible for government to fund education. We must not consider our own educational development and advancement.
Let me know if the audio is good enough.
Local challenges. We have universities all over the world. And the question is, what is it that these universities that have continued to flourish and have enormous resources do that we do not practice here? One of these is that currently, for you to have development in education to meet the enormous shortfall you find in Nigeria, you must involve the private sector. You must involve the private sector. And the private sector can only be involved or be ready to invest in education if they have an assurance that you are ready to develop along the lines of innovative development, that there will be guarantee for their resources, and that there must be evidence that whatever they invest can be visible through your output. Now in Agbaja land, we have tremendous opportunity for the thriving of educational institutions because of our nearness to Enugu. That we must engage competent staff, academic and non-teaching. And we must admit very intelligent students from among those presented to us. When you look at the disparity in development trends between our tertiary institutions, you will notice immediately that the private universities are taking over. The private in every ramification, they have been able to attract substantial funds, enormous funds from the private sector, both local and foreign, to the two, they pay special attention to the competence of those who work for them. You must have a value addition before you are employed as an academic or non-teaching staff. Thirdly, they engage very promising students and give them appropriate training. Why? What are the other problems we have? There is no interference from government, because it is when these are involved that you have all sorts of distraction in focus. So we must encourage the private sectors to be involved in our universities, be they private or public. Then we must embrace technology. We must embrace technology for us to develop and produce students who have comparative advantage with their peers. The training we give must be functional so that these students will acquire the necessary skills, the necessary knowledge, and therefore be able to contribute in their areas of training for national development.
Chancellor, one who has managed educational institution, a professor, distinguished professor, underline every word from his mouth. He has put out very made cogent points about issue of funding education, and it's one that we can't leave. Government cannot go it alone, and the private sector have to come and invest. And there is a thriving opportunity, as he emphasized, for such investment. I think during the interactive session, we are going to question some of the things around funding, whether private sectors are getting it right, are they're making profits, what opportunities, especially for scholarship, for the indigent students that they have, because we must not leave anyone behind. So now I'm going to call on Iken Namani. Thank you for really persevering with us. This is part of the challenge and what you people have to be investing in technology and in ICT. I think everything has been rectified and we have the audio. Please, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I hope everybody can hear me now. I'm Iken Namani from Enugu State, and it's a privilege to truly be here and presenting discussion on digital economy and how all this fits together. I've tried sharing my screen. It's not allowing, it's disabled. I don't know if the slide can be shared or if the host can disable screen sharing, so at least I can show my presentation online.
Please make him a host so that he will be able to share his screen. Make him a host or co-host. Yes. That way your screen can be enabled to be shared.
Yes. Let's see.
That is done. Try to.
I've not been made a host yet, but let's see. One more time.
Okay, you are now. Oh, we are seeing it. Go ahead. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Let's just confirm. Confirm the screen is changing.
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. The key point, I'll be brief because of time and also to give opportunity. The reality is we now live in the digital age. the economy has gone from your traditional economy to a digital economy. This is very relevant in this event or summit because as we discuss various areas of intervention and growth, we need to also be mindful of the changing dynamics in global economy. For instance, now from the traditional factories we used to see back in the days, people are now spending resources instead to build data centers and cloud computing storage facilities. Your traditional high streets where you focus on the traditional brick and mortar market is gradually changing into internet websites for business purposes. Traditional newspaper, these days we receive more of our information through WhatsApp and other media, social media platform than the traditional papers. The same thing is happening with books, e-learning, the education sector that was just discussed. What was not fully addressed is the role of e-learning in the whole educational system. Thanks to COVID, we saw the fact that any school that is not enabled for e-learning has the potential to be locked down for a long time, while others have been able to conduct education. So the world is changing and it's changing into the digital domain. And it's very important in a summit like this that we are mindful of the changing dynamics, and we are also evolving our projects to be sure that in the new world order, we are able to still play. What is the key thing here? If you notice, recently Nigeria launched 5G, which MTN has started rolling out in some places. Unfortunately, I don't believe Enugu is one of the cities that is coming anytime soon. I know they are doing some pilot in Lagos. What is the rule of this? As technology evolves, wireless technology also evolves, and the use of technology is also evolving. We are gradually moving away from the traditional situation where most of our communication happens under people-to-persons communication to people-to-business. And suddenly, we are now in the age of people-to-things or Internet of Things. These have great implication in how we want to plan our investment in the areas we focused on and what we intend to achieve as a people if we are to remain relevant in the global economy. Why is this important? As was put out by the World Economic Forum, the world is suddenly moving from your traditional World Wide Web to a digital economy web, where everything is now digitized and internet-based, where everything is now based on ICT. And we have to be sure that the way we live, play, and work, and also the way we govern is IT compliant. If not, what you see is that a lot of resource is put towards putting old legacy infrastructure that is no longer up to speed in terms of what the new world order is all about. And if you are doing any business, or if we are looking at rolling out infrastructure in the Southeast, Enugu in particular, and we don't have any of these companies listed here as our target or customers, as our target residents. For instance, we've discussed about the free trade zone. If we don't have any of these companies listed as targets to have a presence in the free trade zone, it means we are not preparing ourselves for the new world order or the digital economy. This is a good guide for us to start preparing. What do we really need to grow the city and the state to make it more digitally compliant? This is one of the guides we need to watch out for. How many of these companies are doing business in Enugu, or how many of them intend to do business in Enugu in the foreseeable future? That should be a guide to us in how we want to go. The second very important, which is also key to what was discussed on education, is what kind of skills do we need in the digital economy? The world is evolving, and I listed 20 skills here that our people need to be trained on and need to be conversant with. This is the new skills that is needed in the global economy. The good thing about this is that some of these skills are short-term skills that can be acquired sometimes within 12 months, instead of the traditional 4 to 5 years we normally spend in school to get a degree. And we need to start setting up incubation centers and also ICT training centers, especially to be able to develop our people in web development, computer systems, information technology, cybersecurity, and some of these key skill sets that is now needed globally. What we are noticing is that the world is becoming more of a global village every day. So the more skills people have, the more they can even export their skills while sitting in the comfort of their home. That also is where we are currently in the new world order. Another critical infrastructure is, what do you need to build the ecosystem? You need data transmission networks. Most times we talk of fiber. If we don't have provisions where there is rapid deployment of fiber within the state to enable the high performance of this new digital infrastructure, we are still going to suffer like in the olden days when we are working in the old legacy system. So we need to start asking ourselves how much fiber is being implemented both in the free trade zone, within the local community, and statewide, because this, at the end of the day, is a critical infrastructure that is needed to drive the digital economy. One interesting thing about Nigeria is that among all the countries in West Africa, Nigeria is the only company that has all the submarine cables domiciled in it. There is only one problem when it comes to the Southeast. All the submarine cables are domiciled in Lagos. And we must find ways and look for ways to be able to get these facilities that are currently in Lagos to the Southeast so that our people can also benefit from this new emerging digital economy. Facebook or Meta is currently rolling out a new fiber that should be in Nigeria from next year. And it is very important that as this fiber is rolled out, that we'll find a way to get it distributed in the Southeast, Enugu in particular, as one of the regional hubs that will ensure that the benefit of this new submarine cable also gets to our people. Currently, there's no plan for that, and it's worth looking at. Similar, how many data centers are in the Southeast? Very, very few. These are the same things that will drive the digital economy. So we need to start looking at how do we establish data centers so that there's more connectivity that is not available to our people. Why is this important? The further away you are from the data centers, you suffer two things. You suffer a higher cost of business and you suffer low quality of service. This is why if you check, most times connectivity in the Southeast, Enugu in particular, is poor because there is no good connection from Enugu to Lagos where the fibers are located, the submarine cables, and also outside from there to the rest of the world. So these are infrastructure that we must start thinking about. How do we implement this? Because as I've said before, there is a cost differential where we are bearing a higher cost of connectivity when these contents are far away from our locality. The government is digitizing the economy. As we know, there is a national broadband plan. There's also the policy on the digital economy, policy on cloud first, 5G licensing, data protection, and the rest of them. All these policies are good from a government standpoint, but we must localize it in our communities. We must bring it home to ensure that in the way we live, play, and govern, that we are using these new tools for the betterment of our people, because it does three things. One, it's going to reduce poverty. It's going to create jobs. It's going to lead to efficiency and cost-effective service delivery. And these are all positive developments that will help us a long way in our quest to achieve a better way of life. In summary, Medallion is one of the leading data center provider. In fact, we are the most recognized data center provider in West Africa. And we are currently a major hosting point. Almost 70% of all the internet exchange traffic in Nigeria is routed in our data centers. And our goal is to find a way to be able to make these services available within the Southeast so that everybody should be able to benefit from the new digital economy. This is my brief presentation, and I hope we'll be able to engage more. But once more, I truly commend the effort of the organizers of this event. I think it's the right time to do this, and I believe that we are on the course for better development for our people. Thank you so much.
So thank you so much. You can see how through deployment of new technologies, we are able to benefit from that brilliant presentation that has set us thinking. Immediately I'm thinking, how do we bridge the digital divide between rural and urban areas? And you made a point, the farther you are from the data area like the submarine, you get poor services and poor connectivity. I don't know whether you have noticed, it's worse during Christmas time. You just come, I say, what is it? Ordinarily, I travel to Imezi, we'll have connection. Once it's that Christmas that we're all at home, somehow nothing works. The phone, you hardly get service. You have to come out to the express road, almost getting to 9th Mile before I will hit services. Sometimes I carry my laptop, I have to come back to Enugu if I have urgent messages. So we need to really think about that, because in using new technologies, exploiting the opportunities to create jobs is also enable us to work from anywhere, and that's very important. Please, I hope you stay with us. We'll be finishing very soon because there may be questions for you, especially how you are bringing this Akuluonum to make sure that we are benefiting from your company that have the largest data in Africa. Thank you. I'm going to go right away. We have 2 outstanding presentations, and I believe they will take 5 minutes. My brother, you will speak to, I believe, you flew in specifically, of course, for this, just like others from diaspora, and we're quite appreciative of that. And your sector, I guess, is ICT. I think I'm mixing up. I don't have the background introduction, but I know we've chatted a bit.
Technical education.
Technical education.
With emphasis on health.
So again, I mean, you just speak to the thematic focus and tell us also what you're doing and where the opportunities that we can also tap in Agbaja land. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Well, mine is very simple and short. During the presentation, I was asked to present on technical education and as relates to healthcare, but I expanded it to the technical education as it affects every other thing. We've been focusing on ICT, which is also a skill from the technical education. Coming from as an engineer, living and practicing for the past 30 years in Germany, the last 10 years, we've been working on business development with big manufacturers like Siemens, Caterpillar, and the host of them, whether it's in the healthcare, whether it's in power. But the critical thing the German or the Westerners are going to ask, do we have the technical skills to carry out our day-to-day activities? Let's say, for instance, in Ama Brewers, the Heineken, if they want to do just basic welding in one of their reactors or their heat exchangers, I don't think there is an Agbaja person who can do that. We have the presentation about primary, secondary, and tertiary institution. We forgot the we're looking at all these places. Most of the tilers that did the jobs here, actually not from Enugu. They are either coming from Cotonou or some other areas. Let's go back. A tribe in Enugu back in the days, and Namco, they had their own technical training school. Nkalagu Cement, and all those engineers don't build planes. Technicians build it. Engineers don't build turbines. Technicians do that, and they maintain those. Now, what will it, thinking as a German, why would I come to Enugu and set up an industry to employ an Agbaja person or boost our economy? It brings to what is the statistics of the technical skill set that is available there. We have, in 2-hour radius from here, we have about 10 universities churning out young men and women, but without skills. Now in Germany, skill is no longer what people go for. It is now part of what you study. Architects, they start with being carpenters. Or builders, they start being tilers, plumbers. What is the difference between a building built by Julius Berger the same workforce is what both of them are using? Because of what? Because the white guy has a technical skill. IK is a good friend of mine. I know how they started. They are non-graduates from universities, but they have technical skill. Then, we relate it to healthcare. Here, we build hospitals. There are no diagnostic centers. If you get CT scan or a digital X-ray, if NEPA or power fluctuates and burns it, either they throw it away or they go and look for someone to come from France or Germany or somewhere to do that. So for Agbaja to be in the global, that brings me back to his graphics. He said, Agbaja, the next one was Enugu State and then Nigeria. I put the fourth one, which is the global, the world. China is the manufacturing center of the world because of what? They have technical skills. So if we can imagine having a big technical center at 9th Mile Corner with some of the universities, they have, you said, I quote, 75,000 students. If we can have 5,000 technical school at 9th Mile Corner that can go through somebody will ask, how do we get the funding? GIZ is a German government institution that finances technical education everywhere in the world. There is a pilot scheme going on at Godfrey Okoye University. I would like Agbaja people to take opportunity to go there. It's starting in February, and it's going to be for 18 months to train people on different skills. Why are they setting it up there? Because their industrial park, about 25 companies from Germany and Austria are going to set manufacturing centers there. So they started first with the technical education. Because if you bring a German or Austrian to come and maintain, the cost of your product can no longer be competitive with that one coming from China. So if we include that in the curriculum of young men and women, especially from Agbaja, which is why we are here, we can supply that to the Nigeria, whether it is in healthcare, whether it is in manufacturing, whether it's in ICT, whether it's in anything you think of. So, and my own is to open our thought process so that we can start thinking, what is it that I can do to attract somebody from another part of the world, another part of the state, or the country, to bring the money back to Agbaja. If you can do that, couple the fact that we already have about 10 universities around, I can tell you the Germans, with their industries will flood Agbaja. We have good climate. We have good, our friendliness, security is an issue, but I will ask Agbaja and BOT to work together with the state government and provide 3 things that I discussed with him. 1, technical education. 2, a guarantor that will guarantee young people. As you are turning 75,000 people out of universities, they should start being employers. They shouldn't wait to be employed. It's mind-boggling that back in the days, our parents, our grandparents They built with thatched roof. The colonial guys came, they built with asbestos and clay. And then we all went to universities and we are building with corrugated iron sheets in a hot and environment. It doesn't make sense. In Dubai, they don't build with corrugated iron sheets. So in my own is to ask our people, if you leave me to go on, we can go to this next and the third one. Thank you, gentlemen, for organizing this, and I'm proud of you. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. I mean, this is so interesting that we could all just sit on round table, listen and harvest all these ideas and just without having this time limitation. I'm sorry, but because we are ruled by time, we have to be mindful of time. Thank you for delivering within this time allotted. You've mentioned a number of important things, which I'm sure we'll come back to visit. Actually, we started out well, even in Enugu State and Agbaja land, with regard to technical education. When we had GTC, GTI, IMT, and all of a sudden we started losing focus. We lost focus in the last few decades. And if you look at those graduates of GTC, if you find them in any of the, whether electrician, I still have a personal electrician that went to GTC, and they learned the skill. But these days, we've almost lost it all. And I hope this is something we can start to adapt and adopt appropriate technology, like you've told us. The last, but not the least speaker, the least, my big brother, big not just because of his naturally physical endowment of being a very tall man and intimidating guy, but also by virtue of all the things he does and a lot that you may not know that he do behind the scene. But I can tell you, this is one man that serves Igbo land and serves Agbaja land to the latter.
Thank you.
Chief Dr. Ferdinand Ago. If we start doing XDG, NIMISA, SPS, SSA, S everything, we're not gonna live here. But I tell you, he's very active, he's very productive, he works very hard, and he's one that believes in knowledge building, believes in skills, competition, and everything. And please, as you listen to all the conversation, and I deliberately left you for the last, because I want you to also feel a vacuum that no one has touched issue on security, okay? And this is one that I know even in the strategic committee of Ohaneze, in all of all that those work you do, you have worked, and in all your experience at federal government level, and you have done a lot. So please touch that and how that impacts on what we are doing, investment and healthcare also not really touched. You might be able in your closing argument to tie all of the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof.
Yeah.
Talking with this our panel and our presenters, I think the details have all been enumerated, particularly in the field of education. But I think we need an overarching theme so that we get a sense of perspective. For instance, my sister, Prof. Ansan, said that a few years ago, we seem to have lost focus. Am I right? We didn't just lose focus, we lost the vision. What our society has lost is a sense of vision. Where are we going? People say, oh, we'll get there, we'll get there. You will not get there if you don't know where you're going. Where are we going? You need vision. And you need values. 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 And be taught. What about the values that support it? When Pastor Chime presented, he talked about the gap between lending and depositing. People are depositing at 4%, 10%, being lent at 30%. And the bank is there bridging the gap in trust. Am I right? You talked about a trust gap. But you were talking in financial terms. What we are trying to bridge is a gap in social capital. We have a humongous gap in social capital. We can list all the things that make Agbaja or Enugu State or Nigeria attractive, but there is a big gap in social capital. There was an experiment recently in Singapore. People just deliberately left their laptops at a cafe and left. 3 hours later, 1 day later, it's still there. They have built the quality of social capital that you can't think of taking a laptop left alone on top of a table in a cafe. But any of you that rises up here, the first thing you check for is your phone.
Yes.
To be sure that even the next person hasn't taken it. Some people here will confess and their phones are stolen. So I don't want to drift too much. What they tried to dimension was human capital, education, health, security. Those are enablers that make it possible for a place. That the whole purpose of education is to give us transformational citizens with critical skills to address the environment. What I'm just adding is transformational citizens with critical skills and values to address. If they don't have the values, we are going nowhere. Sure. Unfortunately, the main challenge in adjecting value and providing value falls squarely on leadership. The sole purpose of leaders in a society, if you don't have leaders for anything in the society, you must have them to provide vision and to arbitrate on values. That's why government is the one that says you are wrong, we can execute you. Government can even make the value judgment on life. Citizens can't make it. If you do that, it's called lynching. Leaders provide, don't forget this please, vision and values. The rest of us can provide the technical details. Now, as we live here, I believe that this summit is a big contribution in generating what I may call an elite consensus. Nigeria is collapsing today because of the collapse and erosion of elite consensus. Nigerian leaders cannot agree on anything, not even on something as simple as zoning. So am I right? They can't even agree on something as simple as zoning. This man has taken, that man has taken, it reaches this man, they say no, we change the rules. It is the collapse of leadership consensus that spins the society into failure. Now, in the context of Agbaja, do we have a leadership consensus? I think that from this summit, there is a consensus that we are blessed with human capital. Maybe we can rise here with the determination that we are going to build Agbaja land on human capital. Now, he mentioned the deficits in our educational system, deficit in financing, deficit in infrastructure, deficit in curriculum. All these things are glaring deficits, which ICT can bridge. But let me tell you why value is important. For instance, our governor that left here a few hours ago, Sullivan Chime, in my view, the most consequential thing Sullivan did as governor was the road from Opi to Nike. I think it's such a consequential road because of the role it's now playing in our lives. And we had a stretch of maybe 40 kilometers that could have become anything. Industrial estates, a new civilization could have grown there. The next thing that should have followed was a fiber optic internet connection between Nsukka and Enugu. Well, he wasn't there to finish it all. But do we even have an elite consensus to understand that linking the University of Nigeria to Enugu and then linking both to the outside world will give our students access to the best teachers, best material? They don't have to go to Harvard to be lectured by Nobel laureates. They don't have to go to Cambridge to know what's happening in the world of technology. They don't have to go to Oxford to learn PPE. It can all be learned here. If we, as leaders, had a consensus and understanding that having done this core arterial road, the next that must follow is the internet backbone to give our children education without their living. Without that consensus, because we don't have that consensus, another governor comes and we harass him. Give me road in my village. Give me road to this place. Give me road to that place. And if you sum up all the money we have spent on these so-called internal roads, it's far more than we have needed to link our children to the best of the world. And because we have not done that, let me tell you the implication. We're talking about unemployment. People are graduating without jobs. In the world of tomorrow, our children useless. In the world that is driven by IT, by a convergence of ICT, of fintech, of biotechnology, of artificial intelligence, the education we are giving our children here, they are functionally useless to become human in the context of a more developed society. I think we owe our children more than that. If we can rise with the consensus as leaders, here we are now, maybe we're 100, 120. If you take the number between the age of 22 and 42, they're not up to a third. But that is the age that changes society. Go everywhere in Nigeria, look for the people between 20 and 42. Ask yourself, what are they doing? Where are they? They're in the viewing centers. But these are the people that will change the world. So let us rise with a consensus on human capital, with a consensus on social capital, with a consensus on values, with a consensus on vision, and the determination to produce the kind of leaders that will deliver on those things. Then there is a basis that in the years that will follow, we can see transformation in our land. If we don't have those critical consensus, we shall meet here 10 more times, then we shall stop meeting. Because all the promises that our place offers, none of them can be fulfilled unless we fill those gaps. I thank you, Prof.
Thank you so much. A lot of food for thought, but I'm really enthralled that you brought the aspect of values. Because if we talk about skill, knowledge, you must add that third element, values. And that's very critical in who we become and whether we are going to have transformational, visionary leaders that can continue even in the trajectory that we have. And I tell you, we have problem in Igbo land. I came in and one of the first tasks I did, having been traveling around for almost 6 weeks nonstop, was going to Ogu Hospital to see a woman, which I'm sure many of you have seen making social media. And I had a lot of people, everybody was sending it to me, even while I was outside. Joy Ezilo, what have you done? Wako, what are you doing? What? My people followed through this. They made a press release. I got back. I knew that she was in hospital. I said she was harvesting snail from a forest. And the children, I wouldn't call them, even they are not men. Very young, that even her oldest son is older than most of them. Strip her naked, parading her naked, putting palm fronts on her, naked, watching her nakedness and videoing and taping it and uploading. And I heard even the woman, one young lady was, and when we started pushing. Why? What has generated? Why have come that we don't value no human dignity? And people are telling us about drugs, about in the village almost becoming functionally useless, taking Igbo Indian hemp and doing nothing but stealing things and, you know, getting protection money from people, doing all kinds of harms. And I started thinking, I doubt whether you can see this in Yoruba land or whether you can see this in Hausa land. Come, they strip a woman, a married woman, a widow with 4 children. As I speak to you, the son that saw her nakedness have not come out of his room because he came in and saw the mother in that state. The shame, they have never been to school. The last child has not been to school. The mother, even the mother of that, because she was widowed in 2009, but she just merely 40. She married quite early, and now she had the eldest is 23. So this value is very important in who we become, in even sustaining whatever investment. Because if you put fiber optics here and people don't even think anything about it, they will just come and steal it. They don't care of development. They will come and vandalize it. Every aspect, this is so important. It's something affecting the whole youth in Nigeria. But I think in Igbo land, we have a particular problem that we must look in. And the traditional system have also failed us in reorienting and molding those youth with that kind of ethics. So let's get back to the discussion. We've had a lot from lead presenter to all the speakers, and they've indeed covered the field. And I know that the essence of this meeting is about investment, not just investment opportunities, but how to build a sustainable Agbaja land that will be globally competitive, that will have the knowledge and skills to sell themselves anywhere in the world and be globally competitive. If an investor decides to Google, these days, I don't know, some of you, by the time you come into any meeting, people have already Googled you, they have already have your profile before. I was UN Special Rapporteur on Human Trafficking globally for 6 years. I come into any international meeting, oh, they know. And they put in now, maybe the first thing they will see a naked woman put in naked because of some even non-existent, because she said she didn't even go to that forest that they were referring to. And they didn't, she wasn't caught even in the forest harvesting snail. It was somebody else that she sold snail to, who was leaving the community that they got. And the person said, I bought this snail from this person. And she said she's been trading on this. And they got back to her. So we need to think about all of that. The raw material, the resources we need, the curriculum, the right policy, the right funding. And we know we suffer a lot from policy somersaults in this part of the world, in Nigeria in particular. So the status of education is depressing. We know the status. There is opportunity out there for investment, but what type of investment in building that human capital? I will invite questions. If you have questions for the panelists, from the lead speaker to all the speakers, you can be specific. Let's take questions first, and then we can take comments. Okay, I will identify you. You will have to, I have 2 here. I'll need also someone in that side. But you start, please keep it brief so that more people can interact. And please don't leave. Some of you are leaving at the time that you need to contribute to this discussion. This is very, very important. What is going on now? Yes, and then we still have another session, I think, to listen to. Go ahead. Oh, microphone. Please, can someone give him microphone? Just make it brief, please. Less than a minute.
My name is Professor Pascal Okolie. I'm a son of Agbaja from Nze, to be precise. Paper presented by Professor Oluka was presenting. He churned out a lot of statistics, which showed that there's gap for investment in education, be it tertiary or secondary. But there's what I've discovered, that even these private universities and institutions that have been built, if you go deep into those institutions, you discover that some courses don't have students. How do we deal with the issue of costs of education in the private sector vis-a-vis state universities and then federal universities? Because it's a bigger issue. When a university is set up, fill the gaps in the institution, it is a problem. Even recovering cost of investment becomes an issue. So it is a larger issue beyond Agbaja. Another larger issue beyond Agbaja is the issue of security. Talk about famine, talk about investment. The only insecurity is a disincentive to investment. And it's not an Agbaja issue. But since we are discussing how we can uplift investment in Agbaja, how do we deal with this issue that is beyond Agbaja as a clan? Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think we're just going to go quickly, get some questions, and we'll come back to the speakers. Yes. Please, microphone to this side. There are two identified, three now, just keep it short, then we'll come back to the center if they have any question. Then.
Hello, good day, everyone.
Oh, not anyway, you've already given him mic. He was, in fact, he's already standing and he's an elder. Let him go first, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is from Amokwe. I want to thank Dr. Ago, I think that's the correct name, for his presentation. Excellent. And I want to tee off from it. I happen to believe that, I think it's a common knowledge anyway, if any person is going to be successful, there must be a character trait in that person that is responsible for that success. But I believe that this same thing is true of any community or country or any grouping of individuals. If they are going to be successful, there must be something characteristic of that particular community on which the success is being. Based on this, I had a Japanese friend and I asked him, Japan is successful. Can you tell me that thing about Japan which is responsible for the success? And you might say, oh, this emperor or somebody, because they had emperors, instituted some wonderful program. No, he said that what was behind the Japanese success was Japanese sense of loyalty.
Yeah, and duty.
How does this work? There was an American reporter. He went to Japan and he saw somebody, his business had collapsed, but he was busy finding jobs for his erstwhile workers. And the man asked him, why are you wasting time? Have you paid your creditors? Yes. You've paid them their salaries? Yes. Why are you wasting time? He said, no. In Japan, he is expected, being in a better position to get jobs, to find jobs for these people. Because when his company was working, they slaved the work off for the success of his company. If he did otherwise, the Japanese society would not forgive him.
Thank you.
And that is why everybody, in Japan, now coming to our country.
So just
I ask myself, just give me a moment. What is that thing within us which we can use as a basis for our success? Sure. And after thinking through it, I said to myself, one thing that is common to us we believe in is our sense of family. And let me remind us that this apprenticeship system that we talk about that is so successful is the derivative of the sense of family. Think of family. What is the meaning of family to you? If you are a member of the family, you are protected. And then you yourself owe allegiance and commitment to the family. And I am recommending to people that are managing companies, institutions, to use the principle that is present in the family as a basis for the management of their charge. They will see tremendous success in doing that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Important contribution. I think we may interrogate it and say that family is a concept in transition and it's fast breaking down, unfortunately. It used to be. And these days, you can ask those in diaspora that will even give their next brother money to build for them. And they end up getting nothing in return. It's no longer that same sense of family. But we might also redefine that and clarify values around that. But there is a problem. So, yes, go ahead. Do you still want to speak? You in white kaftan, there is someone else raising. Okay, go ahead, please.
Good day, everyone. My name is Charles Aliozo. I'm from Agbaja land, Eziagu to be precise, Agobi Wolo. So where I want to point my finger, insecurity is ravaging our country. Food security is a global issue.
Crisis.
And 80% of the food produced is from smallholder farmers, which are found mostly in Nigeria and sub-Saharan Africa. Now, we have it in our culture. Agriculture is in our culture. Our core value is agriculture. And when you look deep into our core value, I will use my community as a case study. My community, Agobi Wolo, had 21 farm settlements. Today. And there was a time the honorable that spoke about real estate, because I feel like from where the problem started, there is a reason why these things are not working. Our forefathers had it in their value to conserve. Today, nobody is thinking about conservation, and we cannot solve any of our problem if we don't think about it sustainably. The honorable that spoke on real estate asked, what are the young people doing in order to solve this problem of agriculture? Someone else also said that if you don't invest in your own, how do you expect it to flourish?
Okay,
now,
thank you.
Okay, let me just round up. Yeah. In order to round up quickly, I want to say that in rewiring the economy, the government, the three actors have to play a role. The government, the business, and finance. And if we work together, get the youths in the conversation tables, we can bring this problem to them. Right now, I am solving a problem of post-harvest losses in the Agbaja land. Our first product we developed, Cold Box Store, which is a solar power refrigeration system. The first pilot was financed by the United Nations Sustainability Energy for All, and is here in Odegba Market. We have done the second one and the third one. The second one is in Lagos. The third one is in Nasarawa State. Now, the fourth one, which is the biggest, is in Eziago land, and is about 5,000 ton capacity. And I know a lot of challenges. Now, how are we going to bring the youths where the government, the business, and the finance people are? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And for that triple helix you've mentioned, it's important to bring government, business, private sector, and bring them to people, whether community, whether university, whether tertiary institution, and within that ecosystem, we can move forward. Thank you. I think, speaker, yes, please, just make it very short, please.
My name is Kenneth Udichi. I'm from Agbaja.
Okay. So he will speak.
I'm the president of the Student Diaspora Organization, and I'm interested in talking to my diaspora friend out there. I'm Austrian, Nigeria, and Agbaja man too. You spoke so much here, and I'm delighted with your speeches. All the things you said here is very applicable, but the problem we have here, people you are talking to are not listening properly.
implement, people you are telling the way forward on skill acquisition, how it's going to be in Enugu State, especially in Agbaja land. Most times when you tell our people stuff, I think you're just playing around. You made a wonderful point there. You even gave instances. I'm the president who said that's organization. With this sensitization and all this is going around the school, talking to people in the villages, telling them on the need to go into technical school, to be self-employed. Somebody go to university, come and start looking for a job. What's the sense of going to school? Is it not better you go to a skill acquisition center, learn something, people can learn from you too, and you're making your money at the same time. So the issue now is, you've given us three things. I listened to you carefully. Godfrey University, the Australian government and the German government, they have this fund they give out to countries, and it's untapped, and we're not coming for it. Yeah. It's out there. So, and so to say, Agbaja people, we have prominent people out there to let this summit with the Agbaja, full of what he just said, move to Godfrey University, align with the university on their technical acquisition center. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think the last point you made in Godfrey University, you need to see. I didn't even know this was existing until one of our Swiss partners came, and they came with some Germans, and they said they took us to the place. I couldn't even believe what the kind of development and what's going on there. And even they have the better part of lake and the boat ride and everything. So we really need to explore that. Professor Nebo, do you want to say something? We have a consummate administrator, the Professor Venerable Nebo. ICT, in fact, it was during his tenure as the Vice Chancellor of UNN, the way he fast-tracked ICT development, he just initiated all of the innovation we needed. And you know, also his performance at federal level, despite all the roadblocks. So Prof would like to get your intervention moving forward.
Thank you very much. And it's been fantastic. I could pay anything just to come and listen to what you all have said. Coordinator, you've done a marvelous job. But I want to harp on one or two things. I was so glad when my brother Ferdinand talked about bandwidth. I have been crying since I was Vice Chancellor UNN that bandwidth should be regarded as infrastructure. Many of my speeches in convocations and all over the place, I've been crying. Nobody seems to be listening. I'm so glad that it came out here. Bandwidth should become part of our infrastructure. Yeah. And then our brother also, Otiji, who mentioned the German experience. There is nothing that can match that.
Yeah.
I would say that many years ago, I knew, and that was why I sent some of our graduates to get some experience there, that if you're doing a PhD in a typical German university, you are attached to an industry to get industrial experience. There is no such thing in Nigeria.
Not at all.
Let me now say what I've been saying for the past several years. The universities, as you see them here, will eventually become obsolete within 2 decades. People are now preferring professional and skills certification to university degrees. So any university that does not key into, or polytechnic, that doesn't key into giving relevant skills that are certifiable and for which people could be certified as professionals, they will begin to die with time. This is the time. And I do pray that our Agbaja people will see when we begin to move in that direction, we're doing the right things. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much. I think we will come to this part of the table. to get the responses from the speakers. And we will start with the lead presenter, Professor Iko Luka. You have the floor. Let's just try to, summarize our responses. Thank you.
I hope you're hearing me.
Yeah, you can sit there. And do you have the mic?
Yes, I think we're hearing you.
Okay. One of you asked a question, Professor Courier from that side, and he was talking about security issues. This organization.
Really? Exactly. That's why I said
I want to know
that we should close. We are closing now.
Now we have our internal system of security.
I will stop.
A month ago,
You thinking the money one?
a high-ranking Air Vice Marshal, when there was a very serious problem between Eke, Oye, Olo axis. All he did was to call me, and then there was a retinue of military personnel. We had to go into those places, discover the flashpoints, and position relevant military officers. That's why if you're moving from 9th Mile to Oye, you will see a checkpoint. Egede. Again, there is one being planned between Abo and the other side. The issue is every community have a natural way of securing themselves through vigilante system. Let me give you one instance that can portray that. Okay, that is one. The other person is talking about cost of private universities.
Yeah.
Remember that in the presentation we said, any investor that wants to succeed must weigh the two options, low quality and high cost. So it is the duty of that investor to know what is going to provide to enhance the low quality and at the same time bring down the cost. This could be worked together by knowing is it the quality of the teachers? Is it the facilities available? And remember, university is for life. What I mean is that the university can stay for 100 years, 200 years. So the cost is what we can look at. If you go to...
Thank you, Prof. People, we don't want the last panel not to have audience because that will not be fair on their day. The rest of the panel is 30 seconds.
Okay.
So that we will get on the last panel on the way. You can go ahead, Gerard Otiji.
Just to make a remark, why is it that the villages, they look deserted in Agbaja? Everybody has moved to Enugu, urban city, or Lagos, and very old people are at home. So even if you want to raise vigilantes or people to secure that, you won't be able to see the personnel. Why? Because there's no job. People are looking for jobs. So what we need to do is for more industries to come back to Agbaja. Our young people will no longer leave Agbaja and we can form a good security system. That is one. The second one, coming to what you're saying about the GIZ, is a fund in Germany now where the generations have piled up wealth that skill acquisition, they leave it for others. The people from the eastern part, they are looking for people. That's why the Austrians and the Germans are ready to spend their money to set those things there. For in Agbaja, people come for Mercedes-Benz in Stuttgart, or for Caterpillar in Mannheim, and so on. In terms of the funding, the technical aspect, you are doing the research and development. If you can find the correlation between play, agile law, to mix it so that you don't spend 5,000 or 6,000 for one bag of cement, and you still get adhesive material that can get you a strong wall. You will make more money. And industries will buy your patent. So there are so many things we can do if we, he said, the mindset must be there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And please, we will continue to engage bilaterally with him and with all the speakers. They've had very rich experience we can all benefit from. Dr. Ferdinand, are you giving out your passing? Thank you so much for that, being considerate. And then we're going to have the final word from Professor Chidobe. Please, Prof, make it brief because of time. Thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you. Let me make my final comments by drawing our attention to the theme of this summit, exploring investment opportunities in Agbaja land. If you come to the aspect of tertiary education, from primary to tertiary, I can tell you that in Agbaja, you have the men and women of character, of knowledge and integrity to run a successful academic institution with major contributions from outside, irrespective of your religion or otherwise. A typical example is that when people have made reference to Godfrey Okoye, Godfrey Okoye is in Enugu, and remember that this university started in 2009, November, when there were many universities in Enugu. But based on three things, the university was sure to succeed. First of all, vision. Vision. Two, competence and integrity of the individuals, of the university. And thirdly, non-interference from government and the promoters of the university. What I'm trying to emphasize here, if we in Agbaja decide to have more successful universities, especially private universities, with little investment from individuals, but relying mostly on support from a private sector. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Don't usurp my function until I become functis officio. I'm rounding up. Thank you so very much, Prof, for that, and I apologize for cutting you short. I just want to thank the panelists, Professor Ike Oluka, Professor of Agricultural Engineering, for that lead presentation. I want to thank, I think it's Namani, who joined us from MDA Medallion Data Center from Canada. Dr. Ferdinand Dago and Professor Ike Chukwuchidobem, and the wonderful audience that have engaged and made this a most rewarding panel. I believe that the conversation will continue, and we just have to give listening to others who have also listened to us. Thank you, and we will continue to explore the goal of this very event, because it is important to keep the vision up. And I know that this is just the beginning of very good things to come to Agbaja land. We have many successful human capital is there, and once the vision, the values, and we have the people to impart the right skill and knowledge, then success will definitely be ours. Thank you so very much. Thank you. And we rise. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Mommy. You've done a thorough job. Professor Joy Ezilo, CN, equally a son, the fourth son in Agbaja. Odirizi. I'm so enriched. Thank you all, the panel crew, for all the expositions. Before now, he was said to be blessed amongst women. Now she happens to be blessed amongst men. The only woman amidst 4 portable men. All right, they say that everything rises and falls on leadership. What I've equally learned, my take home from these expositions is that for you to have a functional society, we must have a functional family. Thank you so very much.
Please, it is worthy to note that Professor Joy Ezilo, CON, is also a senior advocate of Nigeria. And I'd like to please apologize for that oversight because she was introduced severally without mentioning that Professor Joy Ezilo, CON, is a senior advocate. So one of the take home from this panel and this summit is that the Agbaja people will come back to the value system that they've always had. That when it is time to do evil or to do wrong, an Agbaja man, yes.
Please, this is a plaque presented by Agbaja Investment Summit 2022, special award presentation to Professor Joy Ezilo, CON, SAN, in appreciation of your sterling contribution, expert opinion, and engaging discussions as a keynote speaker, moderator, panelists towards the economic development of Agbaja communities in Enugu State, Nigeria. On behalf of the Agbaja leaders of thought, congratulations.
Thank you so much, Prof. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you so much.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Thank you.
So like I was saying, that thing that makes the Agbaja land thick should be rekindled. The value system of brotherhood, kindred spirits, enterprise, integrity. And also, we should begin to work towards cohesion and then linking up with one another. Networking, which is very important. Rising from this meeting, I expect a communique that there should be consensus in ideals and ideas. We are going to the last panel meeting. We are going to have a very short panel, 20 minutes. And this panel will be led by Professor Ed Nwobodo. Professor Ed Nwobodo will lead the panel that will not last more than 20 minutes, after which we are going to have lunch. And then we get to the next phase of the summit. So let us begin to meet and greet, begin to synergize, and then begin to look forward to the rekindling of the Agbaja ideals. And so much to the planning committee and the people who conceptualized this meeting, because if they hadn't done that today,
I tell you, we may not be able to come to that point where the new will begin to learn about what the old used to do. This generation that convened this meeting is the bridge between the old and the new. And we give big kudos to them for this wonderful and awesome initiative to come a cohesion and a linking between the old and the new, and then re-energizing and revitalizing the Agbaja ideal that you should learn from today as a young person, that when you say wa or wa, then people will understand that you've come to the final point where you are not going to admit to what you have refused. An Agbaja man is not moved by money. An Agbaja man is not into get-rich-quick syndrome. An Agbaja man is not in anything that will erode fairness, equity, and justice. An Agbaja man is a fair and firm person. So let's begin to bring back that spirit of the Agbaja man. Professor Ed Mobodo is coming up now. And it's going to be a very short panel discussion that will not last beyond 20 minutes, after which we are going to have our lunch and go to the next item on the bill. Unu nekwa ya na hall nwa unu ka ahụ na Agbaja were mmadụ. Agbaja were mmadụ from all corners, all spheres of human here in diaspora, you will see. So let's call up the we have Dr. Please go and ask. Okay, please, you're up here. Dr. Oramadu. Dr. Anayo is I constituted. Welcome, Dr. Yago. Also, Prophet C. Matrix Power is going to join us. Please. We are ready. After this discussion, we're going to have lunch served. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm not hearing the commentator. I'm not hearing the commentator.
Hello. Okay, welcome to the last and final session of the 30 minutes session. This very infrastructure as well east of doing business around here. Looking at the economic zones. Not that, but it's
I am not hearing the speaker. I am not hearing the speaker at all.
They'll be looking through. We'll present also a presentation from we'll put the conversation and they will go. To build and
Agbaja Demen, Agbaja Demen. Hello, hello, hello.
Context.
Agbaja Demen, Agbaja Demen. Hello, hello. Agbaja Demen, Agbaja Demen.
To flag off this.
Hello, hello, hello.
Group.
Thank you much. It's the midnight hour, and you see, special economic zones or free trade zones are often things that are not quite understood in terms of the economic impact. It is very, very significant that there are essentially 2 free zones within Agbaja land today. And the potential to transform our economy is so, so important. And I'm going to tell 2 stories, very short. There are more than 7,000 free zones across the world. Next to the United States. Essentially, China developed 100% using the free zone model, Shenzhen being the very first one. When we look at Dubai today, where so many people like to go to for holiday or whatever, Dubai, the United Arab Emirates, developed essentially 100% of the time from free trade zones. In the last 100 years, we can look back and see certain things that happened that brought education to our own part of the world and commerce. One of the things that happened was the coal corporation. The discovery of coal gave the impetus for education to follow and economic development to come to our path. Number 2, the railway system, right, for evacuating that coal. But that also became a platform on which we developed skills and education to emancipate our people. Ladies and gentlemen, a free trade zone is like a free port. It means that you can export directly from Enugu today, and you can import directly from Enugu today. What that means is that the clearing agents, the mama puts, the training, the labor, the technicians, all of them are going to be homegrown and generated. It's a window to the world, opportunity for us to develop, accelerate our development. Today, as a people, we need to embrace it. And one of the Imo Guangdong Free identified Owerri, Imo State, as a place they wanted to partner to create a free zone. And what happened was they started the problem of contention over land, over payments, over things, over stuff. And that news came to the ears of the president, at that time, President Obasanjo. What did he do? He called his state governor in Ogun State, his home state, and invited the Chinese to come. It became the Ogun Guangdong Free Trade Zone, which is one of the largest free zones in Nigeria today, hosting ceramics, manufacturing, industries, you name it. As far as you can see, driving from Lagos to Abeokuta, you will see it there. Go to Imo Guangdong, it's on paper. It's right now a slum with some estates, and that's the end of it. They don't even know what hit them. This is something we have to make a decision as a people, that this is an opportunity that we should not even consider any other way but to embrace it as the growth area for tomorrow. You can sell your land today, build a house, that is it. But with a free zone, you are able to develop revenue for the Commonwealth for the next 100 years. I will stop at that point. Thank you very much.
Yes, it is easy to say what is the business of Agbaja as a community, as a cultural entity, as a group in land administration. But you've highlighted the point that even as a community, as a cultural entity, we can begin to facilitate even the way government administers that land, mitigating some sort of conflicts that may have chased the Chinese away from Owerri. We will take another presentation, and that will come from Dr. Anayo. He will be speaking on ease of doing business. Ease of doing. How do we facilitate business establishment, including establishment of economic zones in our area? We don't go and chase the people with cutlasses. Dr. Anayo, how do we?
It's a pleasure to be here and to be part of this as one of the organizers, now as a panelist. The way I see it is this: all said and done, if we spend the next day, or in fact the next week, and call in some other persons to talk about how beautiful it is to be an Agbaja person, and also how rich we are in our history and heritage. If we talk about all the incredible opportunities we have here, at the end of the day, what an investor will pay attention to is how easy would it be for me to come here to do business? What an investor will be talking about is how long will it take me, for instance, to register property here? How long will it take me to get a C of O? How long will it take me if I need a title of a document or a land document? How long will it take me? How many processes will it take? How many days? How much? Nobody is going to come here to do business because we are Agbaja and our water is the best in the whole world. Yes, people will take note of that. But if it takes, for instance, 3 days to process land registration in Sokoto, and it will take you 6 months or 1 year or more than that to register a land document, how to say of all, probably somebody will not come here or will think twice before coming here. Another example is, which is ease of doing business, is that if you're in Borno State, you get a minimum of 14 hours of power supply. If you're in Enugu State, you get 3 or less than that. The other factor is, we talked about education, skills, and so many things. Enugu State is one of the very few states that recruits less than 5% of the skilled workforce it needs from within the state. We are one of 5 states. In fact, we do less than 4% of the workforce we need, skilled, from Enugu State. So we are saying people don't have jobs. But the fact is that 90% plus of people who are doing work at Diamond Estate all come from either Cotonou or from Western Nigeria or from elsewhere, more than 95%. So if you are looking for foreign investors to come in here, foreign investors will normally want to know how healthy are your micro, small, and medium enterprises, because these are the people that provide the basic jobs that they need to support their industry and their growth. They won't import people from wherever they are coming from to do, for instance, provide basic electricity and supply. So the question really is, are we ready as an economic zone? If we are, do we have the basic things that we require to make a business thrive and also to attract business to come in here? Because when you are talking about ease of doing business, you're actually talking about just two things. We are talking about your culture. Your culture is who you are and how you do things. That's what Dr. Agbaja talked about. What the values drive what we do. If I'm going to do business with you, would I be afraid that if I give you a contract, I give you money in advance, you are not going to come back to me, or you might as well maybe both. It's about values and it's our culture. So the other thing is your environment. Abundance. These are part of what we are showcasing as part we have if you are coming here to do business as part of our environment. But also, you also have to recognize that our infrastructures are in bad shape. Most of our infrastructures, roads are in bad shape. And of course, security is a big issue. So that's also why, because what the free trade zone provides for you is that the free trade zone will provide the enabling environment for you to have, for instance, power supply. You wouldn't have to worry about your water. You wouldn't have to worry, for instance, registration of your land and so many other things that you're required to do business here. That's really what we're offering as a zone that has in our own place free trade zones and all that. Also would also be something like localization of companies, because when you have companies localized in a certain place, then you have the benefit of technology things and do things together. Time is not on our side, so I will have to just stop here.
Time is not on our side, but I think we need to drill or dive deeper to make sure there is some substance that indeed there is something you said. In other words, the economic zone is a facilitated environment.
Yes,
in terms of starting business.
Yes.
But you also recognize the issue of lack of the requisite skill.
Yes.
Is this not tying up with what the previous panel said with respect to the absence or the art of technically sound skill sets around?
It's actually absurd.
It is part of it.
Yeah, it's absurd.
So it is perhaps one of the things that must feature in the other the roadmap that will come out of this workshop.
Yes.
Ensuring that in a facilitated business environment, we also be able to respond. So that we can supply the staff, the skill sets that are required.
5% is too
I
short.
needed to have said earlier that Dr. Anayago has a rich history of building small and medium enterprises. And I think it's something that can be harnessed. I'll come to you, Captain. Captain John Obako is a pilot who has also come down from the plane to the grounds to begin to do something to produce food. Captain, you will give us some presentation for 5 minutes on agro.
Aeroplane. And but these days, I'm on the ground flying agriculture. I came here with investment opportunity. Unfortunately, the youths are not here. If any youth that is around here, you better listen because opportunity for you here. I came here with opportunity and investment.
Don't worry, a document will come out.
Okay. So now, you have a free trade zone here. You have an airport. I want to come with my aeroplane, land at that airport, and off I go. So what I'm bringing to you today is this. Osen soka, yellow pepper. There's a lot of market for it in the world. So much. If you produce $10 million a day, I will personally bring you somebody that will buy the whole of that $10 million every day. Period. I have the producers to produce those Osen soka. They are there waiting. And we have also gone as far as establishing a relationship with University of Nigeria, UNN, for capacity building. That capacity building institution, myself and the Vice Chancellor is the co-chair of the board for us to train our people and position to deal with the world. There's millions of dollars waiting for you out there. So all along can bumbule aeroplane mbia here iblomia. Apotaling indike go the Osen soka. So, but the only one problem we have is this. The Soka need the milli to be able to produce those pepper. They don't have water. And that is what brought me here today. Miliazo, fish waste is what they use for manure. So now, if you have fish waste and you need water, what else is there? When I see government of Enugu State and the people around here, if you want to invest, that's an opportunity for you here to invest and cash in real fast. You dig the borehole, you bring in the Nakoazo, people that are doing fish farming. They will do their fish farming. The waste, they will pay for the water. And I believe the people of Osoka, no matter the amount you invested, they get less than 2 years. You just need about 95 million naira to dig about 10 commercial boreholes in Osoka. And I'm here and I'm not here. To get into the business, we will train you how to make $5,000 every month. $5,000 will train you, get you people that will produce for you, get you people that will buy your product. That's what I'm here. So, Bikon, no matter whatever it is, this airport today here and the free trade zone is a gold mine. For me, as a pilot, I'll fly my own aeroplane. I will drop it here, 110-ton volume size of aeroplane. Even a passenger, aeroplane, they do about 427 passengers, cruising at 1,050 kilometers an hour. I've been doing that for about 40 years. So, opportunity to hear for Soka people, for Enugu people, this airport and the free trade zone need to be utilized, and we will be able to maximize it for you.
Thank you very much,
Thank you very
Captain.
much.
Captain, I want to ask you a question. Captain is also the chairman of a national agro-exports setup committee at the national level. Yeah. Captain, I want to ask you, that thing that makes it Osen soka, can that thing be identified and taken to, say, an Agbaja land?
Oh, yeah.
What is it in the soil?
Yes, but the soil, Osen soka is a geographical indication product. People like from Leja, Ohodo, Edobala, within that community, the one that goes as far as Adani, yes, Adani only is a little bit on the ground, on the shaky, because if you remember, their product collapsed. Leja, much late. Dr. Cosmas Ane is here. He's part of the people that have been in the forefront of the production of this soka.
Thank you very much. It's like God gave it to them,
and also
it has to remain with
real
them.
briefly about the National Committee on the African Development Bank have about $538 million for most of the states. Enugu State is not part of it because Enugu State did not show expression of interest. And I happen to be a part of that program. So Nayonde Enugu State government, go to Federal Ministry of Agriculture and show expression of interest. That's about $70 to $75 million waiting for you there at 0.08% a year for 10, 15 years.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Now,
and
you are going to,
I think it's based on state by state basis. Agbaja will not show. But can I also say
because the is not limited
can
to
I
Ocean
also
Sugar.
say
Yeah,
that
yes.
can we have the profile of this venture so that we will share widely? That is one. Two, we would like to also get the information as to specific office where we will advise our ministry. I will do that with you, not in the plenary. Thank you very much. One more thing. I will let you chip in one more thing at the end of
Yes,
it.
I have Mrs. Obi, she's from Osoka. I have Dr. Cosmos Anne here too. They can help you. We have an office where you can relate to, and also to relate to the chairman about this, because there's a whole lot of opportunity
Anybody
waiting for
coming
us here.
virtually, no?
Thank you.
Anybody? Who? Okay, somebody is supposed to make a contribution from, thank you very much, Captain. Somebody was supposed to make a contribution from overseas. I don't know if that is coming up. If it's coming up, just indicate for me. Otherwise, I will move on.
I am here.
We're really tight on time. If it's not coming on, just do like this.
I am here. I'm here.
Okay. Okay. You have 3 minutes. We're waiting. Thank you very much for joining.
That is how to end it. The last person is always the one that suffers. Agbaja kwenu. Agbaja demen. Ahamo obiora madu. Aumoya aguru. Obelago mana. Nezagu local government. Now, I was supposed to speak about export and speak about African Continental Free Trade Area. Now I have only 3 minutes. I don't even have 5 that other people have. So I don't know what to do, but let me manage it. Now, in export, I don't have much to say. I hear about us.
Right? That's my very good friend.
There is a place where they go to pick up cashew nuts to date. Now, I was speaking to, I think, the GM of the Premier Cashew Nut in August a couple of years ago, and I asked him a question. How old is the youngest tree in your plantation? And he said 52. 52. Today, there are cashew species that fruit in 3 years. Now, if you take cashew from 52-year-old tree, what type of seed do you supposed to get? The nuts are small. When foreigners are looking for cashew, they are asking for Obomosho cashew in the West. So this is an area of investment that can, to fruit in 3 years is not eternity. So I think that's one area we will look at, because right now it is already there. We are living in the belt. Now let me talk about African Continental Free Trade Area. What they did there was to create a single market in the entire Africa of about 1.3 billion people, and also to increase intra-African trade, that is trading between one African country and the other, which is currently about 12% compared to 40-something% in Asia and over 60% in Europe. That's the whole idea. But if you want to export, it is no longer going to be a raw produce, the type we take to India and everywhere. It is going to be processed. I was at a food exhibition in Lagos a couple of days ago. I was amazed at the quality of packaging that I saw. I couldn't believe they are made in Nigeria. So agro-processing is one area that will be very, very viable in African Continental Free Trade Area. Because AFTA is the single biggest market in the whole world. Then again, services. I think I will end with that. Services export is growing faster than export of products. That also happened to be one of my specialties. Services export is growing faster than products in the entire international market. So it's an area, there isn't more time to talk about it, but the fact is that those who spoke earlier have talked about ICT, they've talked about capacity building, and the rest of them. And it's about relevant capacity building. Part of it is also outsourcing. ICT centers, we can create an outsourcing hub in Agbaja. We can create an outsourcing hub. So I think that I just decided to touch on investment opportunities since there's no time to break down export or break down African Continental Free Trade Area. But I hope with this view. Another thing is that going forward, Agbaja has experts, a lot of experts. And I'm suggesting to the organizers of this is that going forward, they can be bringing our sons and daughters one by one and organize workshops and seminars apart from the distance, or so short certifications that can build the necessary skill. India had to build skill very, very well before it was possible for most of the outsourcing in the world headed to India. They have an outsourcing village where 3.5 million young people are working 24 hours a day. The light doesn't go off. So I want to leave it there, but I'm saying that if the opportunity to bring experts to come and help develop our people comes, I will be available. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think you've identified the investment opportunities and material resources that are abundant in this zone. Thank you very much. And I think you should be around to this when we begin to put pen on paper for implementation. Right now, I would like to open the space for conversation.
You just take maybe one or two because of
we will take one or two questions from the audience. Please don't get into a long story. Just drop the question, and we will find who will answer. We will take no more than I'm seeing 2 hands. Anybody else?
The question it has to be question.
I see. We will take 2 questions or 3 questions, including that of the lady. I want to have that lady's question. The others, please, you can put the question on paper and bring to me. I will make sure that the answers to those questions are not only shared here, but also shared to the bigger platform using some other medium. Yes, start from the lady. Ladies first. That's what they say. Give to the lady. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Of suits, Department of Accountancy to be precise. Mine is a note of commendation for those that have organized this program. It's a very good one, well aptly done. I want to commend your efforts. And indeed, to our speakers, the panelists, you have brought a lot of content to the discussion. Okay, I want to say or suggest that we've talked about education. In fact, to me, we need educational sector. I know that Agbaja cannot do it alone, but in collaboration with the authorities, governments and other stakeholders, we can begin to look at the courses that exist in the universities and all those that still make meanings to us, so that we don't get our students out of the place and they really have nothing to offer. And that is why you see the frustrations that they face when they come out. The other thing I want to subsequently, I want to suggest that Agbaja land, I know we have a lot of tourist areas. If there will be a documentation that will be projected pictorially, we know that pictures speak a lot to build the contents of this program. Once more, I commend all the efforts. Thank you and God bless.
Bro, thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you very much for your insights and suggestions. Please, this will not be a time for suggestions. Just ask a question outside of this team may not be properly captured. You've made some beautiful suggestions with respect to education. The education panel just finished. Yes.
Now, let me make it straight and simple.
Thank you.
Many years ago, onye neje nkuzi ụka, when he wants to take a wife, or jefe dịka St. Monica's Ogbunike to pick a wife. Why? Training. Training. Now, the problem is with political class.
No, why not?
When you look at the man PAs metamorphose from political thugs and continue growing, and somewhere in the future become governors, it becomes difficult for such people to understand the rudiments, understand how to, enforce and have appreciation for these things we're talking about. Now, suggestion. How will it sound if you from the political class would say that before I pick my PA, I'm going to be in authority in the future?
It's the MC.
If they are going to present certificates, having passed through certain vocational technical education, certain schools of thought presented here, it is not institutionalized, I think we'll be wasting our time.
No, certainly we are not wasting our time. Agbaja Cultural Group is not a national government. Nkojabu state government doesn't make laws, doesn't make budgets, doesn't. Please, to the topic. We also need to realize the context in which we're operating. This is Agbaja, and it's not Enugu state government. Okay? Yeah, any other question? That is not suggestion.
No. These things are not. These are people looking for.
Please, let's take the question here. Questions that are pertaining to the panelists.
Question.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, good evening all.
Yeah.
My name is Uche Madu MS. I want to ask this question because Agbaja Investment Summit is a very novel one. And I must have to say, you have a lot of work to do. Now, I want to ask, there are so many projects coming to Agbaja land. For instance, the free trade zone. But you notice that there are situations where such organizations are having issues with the host communities for one reason or the other. What is the Agbaja Summit? Because you are now a body. You are going to be a pressure group, and a very important one at that. What role are you going to play to ensure that such projects are not aborted?
Are not aborted. They don't become Abeokuta, Banzo, trade zone. Thank you very much. That is a very appropriate question. And I think both panelists here must have a go at that question. Any one more question like that? Otherwise, we just address. Please, there is a red cap, there's a black cap chief there. Can you pass the microphone to him? It's Jermaine. Don't become a contributor, please. No.
Kanson Igbo be anyị. Onye agwọ bịara be ya, ọ ga-ahapụ be ya gbafu. Na be anyị ga-akwafu gaa ugwu Hausa. Ndị Agbaja si na Lagos, si na Kaduna, natara bịa mebebe nna ha. Ha ga-akwa n'ezi.
Thank you very much, except that the person to answer that question is not currently on this panel.
No, I can answer that.
Next, and we just discussed economic zones, we discussed energy and infrastructure, and we discussed how to facilitate exports, production and exports, is the conduct of business in our locality. Thank you. In the absence of any other question.
I'm the MD of Nizi and Gigi Doors. First of all, I want to say now, the name we have in entrepreneurship is not a mistake, it's intentional. Most important thing in investment and business is mostly land. When I wanted to build my factory, I went to my village and asked for Anna. They told me they had a plot of land for 2 million. For one, I wanted 2 hectares. It means I'm going to spend about 30 million to just acquire land in my village. I went to Agbaja and bought for 200,000 naira. The sentimental attachment in the buying when I need it unbelievable. And they can't for the first time. And I feel our people should be able to transfer wealth through land and it had evenly distributed amongst our people. What can we do to educate our people now, Anna? It's not, you don't hold it.
Yeah.
You can trade with it and get what you want and proceed.
Thank you
very much. One more thing. It's not represented in this type of important forum.
The youths are here. The youths are here. Thank you very much. We will now take one minute to answer these 2 questions. Start from engineer. Well, Dr. Anaya.
Okay, I think I should. I'll start with the question about free trade zone, right? What was the question again? What was the question about free trade zone?
Community issues.
Okay, with the free trade zone. Okay. There was a question about community issues in relation to our free trade zone and what we intend to do about it. If my paper had been shared, you would have seen some recommendations made there. It will go to the communique. 3 things we'll be pursuing that will address some of these things is that the intention of setting up the Agbaja leaders of thought is to create a forum where issues like that can be discussed.
Absolutely.
It's also the intention of this summit now to address the questions such as how do our leaders, business leaders, those of us who are here, for instance, create business models that micro, small, and medium enterprises can copy. It will address the issues about how do we deal with infrastructure? In other words, how do we bring private sector solutions to the public sector problems? That's what we'll be addressing. We also will be addressing how do we help government to increase or enhance its capacity to do what it's supposed to be doing or elected to do.
Yeah.
In other words, how do we collaborate more with the public sector? We're looking at options or possibilities or working closer, us as a private sector with government, which is the public sector. Because at the end of the day, we can't do it alone.
Yeah.
And government alone cannot do it. So we need to come together to be able to create new models, new solutions to address issues like, why would you have, for instance, the economic trade zone, and somebody is talking about obstructions for something that can give us solutions to water, solutions to power, solutions to technical skills, solutions to equipment that you need to, for instance, manufacture in an environment that is conducive. So it's ignorance, but that's the purpose of this summit. And that's the purpose of Agbaja leadership, leaders of thought.
Yes.
That's the ultimate purpose. We need to come together as a people, and we have succeeded in coming together as a people today because the success of this summit is the testament that we can come together to deal with the issues that face us as a people, and then to overcome challenges of doing business, not just in Agbaja, but Enugu State as a whole. That's the intention, really.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Last word.
I think Anayo has said it.
He said it all.
I don't need to repeat.
Thank you very much, members of the panel. Thank you for listening to us. I think we have provided some solutions, some hard way to addressing some of the problems we know. Thank you very much. Okay, let's take a picture.
Photograph for the panelists, please.
This one is not working.
We do have a presentation here. And that is Agbaja Investment Summit 2022 Special Appreciation Award presented to Professor E.D. Nwobodo in appreciation of your sterling contribution, expert opinion, and engaging discussions as a keynote speaker panelist toward the economic development of Agbaja communities in the Enugu State of Nigeria. On behalf of Agbaja Leaders of Thought, I hereby make this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Committee, right now.
Can we call on the communique committee, please? The chairman of the communique committee to please come up. It's your time to deliver. What a robust summit we've had today. I'm sure the people who have stayed back will have every reason to be Yes, let's welcome Dr. Oke Orji, please. The chairman of the Communique Committee.
Thank you. Thank you. Distinguished ndị Agbaja, ndị be anyị ekene m unu. I have the privilege of reading the communique issued at the end of this investment summit held at the Amadio Conference Center, Enugu, on the 2nd of November, 2022. Preamble. The Agbaja Leaders of Thought, an umbrella organization comprising of Udi, Eziago, Oji River, Enugu North, and South local government areas, organized a 2-day investment summit at the Amadio Conference Center, Enugu, to, among others, provide a platform for the assemblage of its sons and daughters, friends, in-laws, and well-wishers on Wednesday, 2nd, and Thursday, 3rd November 2022. The summit on the 2nd entertained various shades of thought on investments and opportunities emerging therefrom. The second event coming up tomorrow is supposed to be a carnival of sorts to portray the cultural heritage of the Agbaja people. The Agbaja Investment Summit also was well attended, and people came from various walks of life, including the former governor, His Excellency Sullivan Chime, and the incumbent deputy governor of Enugu State, Her Excellency Nono Cecilia Izilo, traditional rulers, the youth, women groups, captains of industries, SMEs, business startups, which include His Excellency Sullivan Chime, Her Excellency Nono Cecilia Izilo, Reverend Professor Chinedu Nebo, who in their various speeches noted the historical traits and bond of brotherhood which over the years existed among the Agbaja people and between them and their proximate neighbors. The speeches also highlighted the efforts of the Agbaja founding fathers in the promotion of fraternal bonds of coexistentiality and camaraderie, pursuit of excellence in all endeavors, and highlighted the need not to let the efforts of our fathers, such as Chief Dadi Onyama, Chief Sisio Ono, Dr. Onwu, Honorable Justices Dadi Onyama, Philip Nemeka Ago, Anthony Aniagolu, Chief Ene Chonya, Professor Godwin and Ibezo Denigwe Lawrence, Igwe Lawrence Agubuzo, etc., to win. The Agbaja Summit identified the cardinal policy of the summit to include investment opportunities, attainment and sustenance of the free trade zone, security, and also helped on the need for production, consumption, supply chains, leveraging on value chain in line with contemporary best practices. They also identified the notable industrial zones, Coal Camp, 9th Mile Zone, etc., and produce emergent areas such as palm produce, which involves oil, kernel, cashew, plantain, bananas, coal, etc., and tourist sites, and also have veritable needs for investment and energy if exploited. The summit subsequently advised the group to reach out to all stakeholders, including traditional rulers, women and youth groups,
faith-based organizations, SMEs, startups, to wholesomely derive the benefits of the live business opportunities and the free trade zone, and also welcomed messages, goodwill messages from the following: Dr. Sameh Hamrouni, CEO, World Free Trade Zones Organization; Ike Chioke, CEO, Afro Invest; Adesoji Adesoga, MD, CEO, Nigerian Export Processing Zones Authority, NABZA; Ozonia Ojielo, United Nations rep in Rwanda; Joy Egolum, Corporate Affairs Manager, Nigerian Breweries Limited, who in their various remarks commended the summit and advised on the need for global partnerships, cross-sectoral and cross-border collaborations, harnessing the already existing entrepreneurial zeal of our people, particularly in the areas of transport, logistics, power, real estate, SMEs, security, etc. Notations. After exhaustive and fruitful deliberations, laced with the spirit of conviviality and camaraderie, the meeting noted as follows: A, that this groundbreaking summit is auspicious as an umbrella of trust and fellowship for convening the people of Agbaja, and will pivotally fill the void hitherto existing among our people. B, that the people of Agbaja are desirous to open up the area for good neighborliness, friendship, business, investment, and trade. C, that the summit has elicited and garnered friends from various states, including our neighbors and the business community, government, and the international community. D, that there is a need for cross-sectoral interests in the fields of agriculture, real estate, finance, education, healthcare, security, ICT, energy, business, EDB, etc. E, that there is need for continuous interface and network between the various stakeholders, with the summit group playing a lead role therein. F, that the group, cognizant of the goodwill from friends and governments and aligned with PPP, should take the lead and harness emergent opportunities. G, that because of his veritable achievement, it should be a yearly event hinged on patriotic zeal and trust. Resolutions. The meeting thereafter resolved as follows. Number one, that in realization of the landmarks attained, the summit shall be encouraged to thrive. Two, that Agbaja leaders of trust, of thought, as opinion molders and pressure groups, shall network with the business sector and government to continue in the onerous task of charting the course of development and as catalysts of change to improve the thought of its people and in Enugu State. Three, that the group shall build on existing legacies and breakthroughs to project its people on the path of industrialization, social and economic insecurity, and encourage SMEs and startup businesses in line with global best practices. Four, that the key factors in the investment summit, which are agriculture, real estate, finance, education, healthcare, security, ICT, economic zones, infrastructure, SMEs, ease of doing business, etc., shall provide the stimuli and guide to the realization of our objectives. Five, that efforts shall be geared towards reducing insecurity in order to provide the enabling environment for ease of doing business and better communal living. Six, that the communities whose unfriendly efforts derail investment opportunities, particularly empower free trade zone in our area, should be advised to desist from such negative practices forthwith. Seven, there is a felt need to further involve a greater number of like-minded members to participate in further endeavors. Eight, that the group shall further partner with private sector and government. Nine, that our partners and governments and our brothers in the diaspora deserve commendation for their collaboration and should be encouraged to network with us in the future. 10, in line with our notations and observations, that the summit shall be a yearly affair with the latitude for improvement. 2022. Thank you very much.
Committee, Dr. Oke Oji, who just delivered the communique of the Agbaja Economic Summit. We are gradually coming to the end of the program. At this point, let me welcome to the podium Reverend Surveyor Ugo Chime for vote of thanks and closing prayer.
Quickly, let me quickly remind us that tomorrow we continue at Agbaja Square for the cultural carnival and awards ceremony. So it is not finished till tomorrow. Go ahead,
Please,
sir.
before we, let me, on behalf of the chairman of the Board of Trustees, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, on behalf of the Planning Committee, on behalf of the generality of Agbaja, daughters and sons, wives, husbands in diaspora, thank all who have come today and been part of making a success of what has happened today. Like the chairman of the Board of Trustees mentioned to us, it's going to be a continuum. I want to thank all those who contributed ideas, who contributed financially, those who contributed by your presence, by your prayers. We appreciate each and every contribution. And we ask that the good Lord will replenish and reward each one in the name of Jesus Christ. I also would like to use this opportunity to appreciate some of the notable people who have come, even though they have gone. We would still like to inform us that at Agbaja Square, please tell everyone, if you are watching us by live stream, you missed out today, please be available tomorrow. We'll continue tomorrow. Let us pray. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Our Lord and our God will thank you, for apart from you, we can do nothing. We therefore attribute, O God, all that has taken place today and all the sacrifices made to you and to your leading and to your hand of favor upon us. We return all the glory to you. Father, as you have shielded us and brought us here, we ask, O God, that the same favor shall go with us. We commit the rest of the programs today, the rest of the program tomorrow, into your able hands. Lord, you have seen the tears of many who are asking for a resurgimento of the spirit that led the Agbaja clan to be the leading voice in Wawa land and Igbo land. Grant us that mercy and grant us that grace, that the full potentials we have seen embedded in all of us shall be brought forth to the glory of your holy name. We thank you and we ask, Lord, that you be with us. We'll cover ourselves with the blood of Jesus Christ and affirm that under your canopy. Thank you, Lord, for your presence and your grace. For in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, we have prayed. God bless you and keep you. Thank you so much.
God bless you and keep you.
This is how we come to the end of today's event, the Business Summit. We'll see you again tomorrow at the Agbaja Square for the Cultural Carnival. Please make sure you're there by 10 a.m. Thank you for having you around and to grace this august occasion, the Agbaja Business Summit 2022. See you
tomorrow.
Yep.
Agbaja Summit 2022. And my name is Chinaza Ago, Vivian Chinaza Ago.
It's been wonderful co-hosting with you, Chinaza.
Thank you so very much. So now I can do my thing. Feel free, laugh, be myself, and every other thing around it. Thank you, PGC, for doing this with me. God bless you. Because I have a open an edge. Tomorrow we ought to come out at Opera Square. Okwadimpa. Tomorrow, same time, Opera Square. God bless you.